Hey, here we go. I'm Joe Crawford of artlearning.com. Pretty much every day I go to CSSBattle.dev, do the daily target, and record it. Let's do that now. Simple, right? Super simple. I'm going to use the blank template and not the nested template. Uh, and I feel compelled to go conic gradient on this guy. And the reason I like the conic gradient for a thing like this is because I understand the repeat really well. And I'll set the I'll do it a little out of order. I've set okay. I'm gonna put just blue on this background to start, and then I'm gonna use margins and height to create a shape that is exactly as big as it needs to be. 55, 55, and then the height is looks like it's 230 maybe 220, 230, 240. Okay. So I know that this paragraph tag is exactly the right size. So I don't want just blue though. So now here's the conic gradient. It's about finding the repeat. So I'm going to set no repeat. So when I look at a shape, I want to decide, well, what are the parts of this that repeat? And so we've got this blue section, and then this white D9 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 section, another blue section, and then this green section or transparent, depending on how you look at it. And so I know, and also the center of this. So I'll do it. I'll do the colors first. So blue, 25%, or 90 degrees, right? You could do 90 degrees. We don't do it in DEG because, well, it's more characters than percent. And if it works, it's good. There are definitely times when I want to use uh, degrees because I have to. All right, and I'm going to do transparent. So that's the shape I made. Now, why is this relevant? The center of that is at a particular place, and the default sort of, I don't even have to write it, but at 50%, 50%, that's the center. Now I can move that by decreasing those numbers. So 40%, 30%, and the 50% is center, right? Like that's what that actually means. That's also more characters. And the numbers, I like the numbers, 2, 10%. And then we do the same thing, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's not quite right, right? And we see what's not quite right there. Let's do 30 pixels. I think that's going to be correct. And then 30 pixels. And that's the repeat. Or that's the where the center is. Now I'm going to put it in the upper corner, 0, 0, and then give it a width. And I'll do it way too small. So that's what I've made. Now that doesn't seem like that's the solution to that, but let's make it bigger. How about 150 by 150? And now you can see that actually that's not too bad. So I'm going to make it as tall as it needs to be, 20, 200, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then 60. 160, 70, 90, 200. And I know it's 240 pixels tall because I set it to 10. And I think we know that the rest of this is 30 pixels on either end. So when I change it to repeat, it will do its job. And there it is. Oh, and look, all that smartness, and I screwed up because that's not the repeat, is it? Ha 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 ha. Don't ever think that I'm as smart as I sound. So, oops, that's a mistake. Now I can put something behind it, I could say linear gradient at an angle, right? 45 degrees, or probably 50 degrees. Red, yellow, red. So in this case, red, yellow, red, about 45, 45, 45 degrees. And so I think I need minus 45 degrees. So there, that's what I want. So I want transparent on one end and then transparent on the other to hide my error. I mean, I sorted it out. I was thinking about the repeat and thinking, oh, this is really great time to think about how conic gradient worked. And I didn't do a very good job. And I'll do some percentages here to force that to be correct and true. Oh, and does that just work? It's possible that it just work. If I submit this, I bet it's going to be not 100%, but it might work. Oh, the back end. That's a back end error. That's not because I did something wrong. That's the back end. The communication between my web browser and the back end failed. So I think this is going to give me like a 99.8% or something solution. Let's find out. 98.5% solution. So I need to actually set color stops for it to work. Now, it's not perceptible to me because it's such a subtle gradient, but it's not the right pixels. So I have to make those hard colors rather than a gradient. Again, the back end is not happy. Just try again, try again, try again. This, a lot of what programming is trying again and trying again and trying again. That's what we do. And there's a 100% match. So, okay, it's two gradients. A little less exciting. What if we didn't want to use a linear gradient? What are our choices if we want to keep that conic gradient? One thing that we could do, or change that conic gradient. What if we move that conic gradient down? So I'm going to say instead of, what if we moved the whole thing over 30 pixels, 30 pixels? So now that's repeating in a different way. And so we move it over, we move it over, move it down. Maybe we actually we just want to move it over. Yeah. So now we change the colors around. So we've got, and instead of at 30, it's at like 130, 230. Okay. So now we got that. Does that help us? So the transparent is blue. The existing blue should be the white, or one of them should be. And then this white should be blue, which is not really very exciting at all. And frankly, this becomes a not good solution for our particular case, right? Because we can solve this just as easily with what? Border, solid, 30 pixels, blue, right? Great. And then we need to subtract 60 from this because unless we did box sizing, border box, then it's the right height. But we don't do that. That's a lot of characters. We don't want that. So we need to subtract 60. So that's 180. And we need a background. And then I think about, well, I guess a mask would do it. Mask, conic gradient, and 0, 0, and 100 and so what did we say? uh, the width is, did we say? I'm not sure we even said 200 pixels. I don't remember again because why would I remember? 210 pixels. Okay, and then now the conic gradient is at 30 pixels, 30 pixels. Red, because that's the shortest named color that's solid, and then transparent. And then we just need to make that wider. Oh, that doesn't solve it either, does it? No, because, oh, or does it? Yeah, because it's not the full height. Because a repeating gradient doesn't do it. So yeah, I keep thinking that that's going to do it, but here's where that falls down. So what? Clip path? Clip path would do it. Clip path, polygon, and the default polygon. If we don't have anything, then it's these points. Those are the default points, I would say. And I kind of so we need to add more points then, right? So this first point needs to be 30 pixels 0, right? And then 100% 0, and then instead of 100% down, it's 210 pixels, and then it's 200 pixels, 210 pixels, 240, 30. Uh, oh, oh, oh. There it is, 210. And then 260 pixels, 100%. So that's one clip. And then it's 0, 100%. And then it's 0, 30 pixels. And then it's 30 pixels, 30 pixels. That's another solution. So let's submit that. Oh boy. Definitely a mixed bag. I ought to focus more on solving rather than, oh, here's a teachable moment. Eh, but it's a good reminder of the limitations of a conic gradient. I think of this as very much a conic gradient type solution, and it is, but it doesn't account for everything. So minify, unit replace, and we got plenty of units there. And I believe we can change this. No, we can't. Not in that case. I'll submit that one. And the kind of the great thing about this one is that we could save this clip path and background and border and do the whole thing as a nested template, right? So I just plop that all in there. Clump. Great. Put the green on the body. And those styles are going to do what I want pretty much. And that's that's shorter code. We'll make sure that we're still at 100% match, and we are. Minify, again, unit replace, and then look at all these characters we can snip off at the end. because we get the nested template, which is nested CSS, and the ampersand represents the HTML element, and the star represents the body element. All right, I solved it. Got to remember for myself that the repeating conic gradient, when I'm thinking about what's repeating, yes, that's going to repeat. If the size of that is this, so green, blue, or blue, white, blue, green, or transparent, that's really going to repeat. And so green is going to show up here when it repeats, and it's going to show up here when it repeats, if that's the size. If it's not, that's a different, that's a different story. Eh. And I can still do a conic gradient, but at this point, why? Um, yeah. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and go make a web page. I'll see you again tomorrow, and maybe I'll do better tomorrow.